We invest in restaurants, and one of our great portfolio member CEOs asked me the other day what DineRock thinks about the Iran conflict and the impact of oil prices on restaurant businesses in the year ahead. And I'm going to give you my response to her, but I'm also going to give you a little more feedback than that. So I think there is one short-term worry, one possible large fear, and one most likely reality. And I'm going to cover it in that order. The short-term worry is the obvious answer here. Oil prices go up. That affects packaging prices. It affects shipping prices. It affects, therefore, food prices and material prices that we use for buying food, shipping food, delivering food, etc. Right? And those all have an impact on our expenses. And we just need to be aware that when you have a conflict like this, there's a knock-on effect that will last 3 to 9 months that will temporarily bump up our cost of doing business. That's the legitimate short-term worry. The possible fear is that the conflict gets out of our control and the stock market gets worried and the stock market sees a 20% fall. And if that happens, then the top end of the market, which has been largely holding up restaurants, will get jittery and start spending less, and that could impact revenue, right? My sense there is that the Trump administration doesn't want either of those to happen, at least a material impact over time, because they have midterm elections coming up at the end of the year, right? And so they're going to do everything possible to mitigate those risks. Here's what we believe the reality is. You need to look at what is more important than what's happening in the news today, and that is what is happening in the economy. And as we have stated at the beginning of the year, we see the second half of this year picking up for restaurants. Why is that? Well, there are multiple factors. One is that capital expenditures are up pretty much month after month, going back a number of months now. And that is a precursor to labor tightening over time. And so when you see capital expenditure going up, you can forecast out that payrolls will strengthen, pay will strengthen, and that will mean stronger consumer growth, and that will mean more spending in restaurants. And our forecast is we will start to feel the impact of that in the second half of the year. Second of all, while there is inflation still ongoing, and there are different ways to look at inflation, and this Iran conflict and oil prices might impact on inflation over a short period of time, wages are growing faster than inflation right now. And that means that when you cycle that forward, affordability will grow. Things will become relatively more affordable for people, and that will mean people will return to restaurants. We also see that impact in the second half of the year. So short-term worry, yes. Legitimate larger fear if the stock market crashes, yes. Likely scenario, the same. The second half of the year should continue to be more upbeat than the past year, and we just need to get more and more competitive and work on our growth models to take advantage of it.